Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about Amtrak Accessible Rooms, who can book them, how to book them, and everything you need to know about them.
Alright, Amtrak Accessible Rooms are some of the best rooms on the train, but they're very, very limited. Most trains only have 2 sleeper cars, and those sleeper cars each only have 1 accessible room. So basically, on the whole train, you're talking about 2 accessible rooms. So there's a lot of people that want to get these rooms because they are very nice rooms. They're very big, very spacious, and a lot of people need these rooms. So that's what we're going to talk about. How you can get one, how you can even get an incredible discount on one when you're booking your room. So first of all, let's show you a room and talk about what they are like, because they are quite amazing. They're all different types though. There's superliner trains, there's viewliner trains, and even amongst those there's differences. So let's start with the best one. The best one is the Viewliner 2. If you're on a Viewliner train, you can't really pick between a Viewliner 1 or a Viewliner 2. The Viewliner 1 is the older type of room. The Viewliner 2 is the brand new accessible room, and it is just beautiful.
It is the most beautiful of them all because the difference between the Viewliner 1 and the Viewliner 2 accessible room, the big difference between them is the shower. The fact that it's so big and it has all of the ADA specifications for a shower, with the seat, the bars, everything. So that's the biggest difference in the two. But let me tell you, it was absolutely amazing. And before you question us as to how we ended up in one, we'll tell you in a little bit how that happened too, and how that could happen to you too if you don't have accessible needs. You might end up in one of these rooms.
Yeah, the bed was amazing. It was quite a room. The Viewliner 1 not quite as good, and then the Superliners, the 1 and the 2, they're the same. They're basically the same, and they're fine, but they definitely aren't as good as the Viewliner 2. So those are great. I think that one thing that you'll note is that on the Superliners, these are on the lower level of the train, which makes it easy to get on and off the train, but it does not make it easy to go to the dining room, which is on the upper level of the train. So most of the time, people who are in the accessible room, they will have their meals delivered to them by the room attendant. On the Viewliner train, the Viewliner 2 room can be sometimes right next to the dining room. So you could possibly get there, but you could also just eat your meals in your room, whichever way you'd like to go.
Yeah, that is the nice thing about it, is the attendant will take care of you. Anything that you need, they are available. You just have the button there in your room, and you actually have extra ones throughout the room that you can ring when you need something. You know, I understand that it's going to take a little bit away from your adventure to not be able to go to the dining car, but we did have a lady with accessible needs that she was determined to go to the dining room, and it took her over a half an hour to come up the stairs and down the hallway, and it was quite a mess because she had a walker which took up the width of the hallway, and it just was really complicated. So just know that you probably should be happy with enjoying your meal in your room and having it brought to you and just being able to enjoy the views from your room as you enjoy your meal.
So let's talk about how you can get one of these, because you can either get them by calling into Amtrak or by booking online. But there are some really interesting stipulations for getting one of these rooms. So there's a kind of a 2-tiered system, and if it's more than 14 days before the train is going to leave, the only way that you can get a accessible room is if you tell Amtrak that you are bringing your own wheeled mobility device. Nothing else will matter. If you have hearing loss, if you have any other type of disability, that will not qualify you for an accessible room. Now, if you do, even if you need a wheelchair and you're not bringing your own wheelchair, and you say, and you put on the website, I'm going to borrow a chair from Amtrak when I get there, that still will not get you in the accessible room. You need to bring your own mobility device with you. Now, when you go on the website to book these tickets, you click the little box that says, I need help with mobility. It'll ask you like a bunch of questions about what type of things you've got going on and what kind of help you need at the station. Based on your answers, it's going to either allow you to book the room or not allow you to book the room. But the important thing when booking this is you have to click that you have a wheeled mobility device and not one from Amtrak, one that you're bringing yourself. If you do that, you will see the availability right on the website, and you'll see a very discounted price. We're looking here at a trip on the CoStar Light, and the accessible bedroom for 2 people is like $600 something. It is much less, almost half as much as a regular bedroom, and so it's quite a substantial savings.
Yeah, it's a huge difference, and it really does make an enormous difference when you trigger that discount. Is really the only way to do it is if you are bringing your own wheeled mobility device, and that's pretty much most of the people that I've seen down there in that room. A lot of times the people in the accessible room have the door open because it's down right next to where the 3 bathrooms and the shower are. So as you're walking down to the bathrooms, if the door's open, you can see right in because it's just right at the end of the hall. It's on the same opposite end as the family room, so it's over the other set of wheels basically from that car is on the other side. So the family room is over this set of wheels, and the accessible room on the other end is over the other set of the wheels. So there's a couple, kind of know where your room is. But when you get on the train, you get on in that lower level. They'll have ramps or different things, whatever they need to make adjustments. Sometimes you don't have a step up onto the train, but sometimes you do. So they'll make adjustments. They have different tools that they use. We've seen them do it multiple times. One time we had a person in a motorized wheelchair that they were using, and they were able to wheel it right on without him having to get off and right into his room. So that was really good.
Now, the second way that you could get one of these rooms is if you are booking within 14 days of travel, and if also the family bedroom and the regular bedrooms are all sold out, they will then open up the reservations for the accessible rooms to anyone. So anyone can book it, don't have to have any mobility issues at all. Anyone can book the room because it's the last remaining bedroom on the train. Now, this is very rare. This does not happen very often because this is going to get taken because it's such a good deal. Like if you had a mobility device, you're saving half by getting this room, and it's a bigger room. So obviously people just take that. We have seen it happen though, where within 14 days, if the person that's in the accessible room cancels their trip, then it will automatically go back in there. And if the train was already sold out, it will be the only room, and then anybody can book that room. So if you're within 14 days and you want this room, that's what you check. You can just check and see, you can call in, whatever you want to do. That's one way to get it. The third way to get the room, which is the way we got the room, was you get on the train and you've booked a bedroom or a roomette, and for whatever reason there's a problem with it, or they need that roomette for somebody. A lot of times we've seen it happen where people get on and they're in kind of this frantic situation, and there's a kind of a breakdown happening, and the attendants will just say, they'll make some decisions on the fly, and they'll say, can I have your roomette? I have this person I need to put in there, or something else is happening, or someone is on the lower level and they need to be at the upper level, or there's a problem with the roomette and it was just discovered, and if the accessible room is open, they may put you in there, which is what they did to us.
Yeah, it was really quite nice because it was unexpected. We thought we were just going to be in a roomette for this ride, and we got on and the lady was like, are you guys in such and such roomette? We were like, yeah. She was like, can I change your room? And we're like, okay. And then she explained the situation, and we were like, sure, I guess so. And we were like, all right, well, that's one way of getting the accessible room, because it didn't have anybody booked into it. Or we didn't write it for the whole train, so
Right.
It was just for a short part of it. And she knew that, so she didn't have to worry about them. Then an accessible person was going to be getting on and into that room, but we were getting off before they were getting on, so she had time to, you know, redo the room, which we weren't sleeping in it. It was just during the day, so we just sat on the sofa downstairs, and we knew she was going to have somebody in there, so we didn't mess anything up in there, make it easier for her. But it was really nice to be able to experience it and, you know, get all the video and everything for you guys, and just the experience of what it was like. And our attendant actually showed us all the different features about it. When she saw that we were doing a video about it, she was like, oh, well, let me tell you a little bit more about it. So she did, and we added that to the full tour video. If you want to see the full tour video, we do have some here on the channel as well, but we're showing it to you here in this video as well.
So even if it is available after the 14 days and you book the room, you won't get the discounted rate, because the only way you can get the discounted rate is if you make your reservation by stating that you have a wheeled mobility device, or if you happen to be like us and you book a roomette and then they switch you, you're going to have a discounted rate too. So there's two things that are doing that. But there are a lot of other things we want to talk about that people don't realize when you're traveling with mobility concerns. There's a lot of assistances that Amtrak provides, and they even state these right on the website, that at the station there's a whole list of things they provide. Navigating the station, baggage assistance, check-in assistance. You do get priority boarding, and then boarding and detraining assistance.
Yeah, which we've seen them do at all the stations. I know anytime we've gotten on, especially I think the most recent one station we were at was King Street Station, and they said, you know, we're going to start boarding, we're going to start with, you know, those that need assistance first, and then, you know, boarding through classes, sleeper cars, and coach. So they do take that to heart, and they always, I feel like they're always so kind and generous when they're doing that.
Yeah.
So I think that it's not just a job to them, they actually take it to heart, what they're doing and who they're doing it for. That I think it's actually really nice and very kind. And even on the train, I've noticed the staff helping people with things, you know, like, oh, helping somebody get back off during a fresh air break, or, you know, whatever they may need, and bringing them their food and such too.
Yeah, they have a list also on the website of the services they provide on the train. So don't be afraid to ask for these if you need them, because these are documented things they provide. And I'll tell you what they are: is help with the stairs. If you have to go up and down the stairs, they'll help you get up and down the stairs. Getting in and out of your seat if you need help getting up. Boarding and detraining assistance. We see that one all the time. We see people using the ramp. Baggage assistance. They will help you store your mobility aid. If you brought something that folds up and you need to put it somewhere, you can do that. Describing the train layout and amenity controls. They'll come give you a personalized little tour of what you can do and what will be helpful to you. Moving to and from the restroom, they will help you with that. Reviewing the menu, having meals brought to your seat or your stateroom, help with your food. Visual announcements, providing a personal safety briefing, and providing an ice bucket with ice for your medicine. So it's a whole host of services Amtrak provides, which I think is pretty great.
Yeah, and I've seen them do almost all of those things before, because we've been on so many times. It really is, like I said earlier, really is kind of heartwarming, honestly, to see that they're not just doing it as a checklist and as a job, but you can tell that they actually care when they're dealing with a person in the accessible room. It really has been quite nice, and I think it makes for a better experience overall for those who need the extra assistance. Amtrak provides it and goes above and beyond, I feel like.
Yeah, there are also a lot of accessible areas on the train, not just in your room, that you can utilize. So, like in the dining room, there are places for accessible devices, and so that's something just to keep in mind. It's not just you're going to be only in your room. If you can get to these other places, it will work as well. There are accessible restrooms on the train. Although you will have one in your room if you do get to have that room. And then I just want to say, the support staff, they've clearly been trained in this, because they go above and beyond. They really do. I think when you look at that versus like what you see on an airline, it's not even a comparison as to what the level of service is there for that. So I think we want to talk a little bit about a few things that will make your trip a little bit more enjoyable if you're coming as an accessible passenger. And there are some definite things you want to not forget that you pack. Obviously your medications and personal aid, but you do need to prepare for the fact that you may not have a ton of outlets. If that's something that's important to you, we really suggest you bring a travel adapter or a power bank with you.
Yeah, in the accessible room, you do have a few more outlets than you do in the regular rooms. Depending on which one you are, you could, in which kind of train you're in, a Superliner or a Viewliner, you would have either 2 or 3. But one of them is right by the seats. The other one is over by the sink area, so it's a little bit farther away. So you may want to, like Rob said, have a portable charger with you just in case. And the travel adapter that we use, that we have listed down in the description, is actually amazing because you can charge 5 things at once. Something in the electrical outlet and 4 things in USB or USB-C, depending on which version you get. You can charge stuff, 5 things. Some of them even have 6, which is pretty amazing, I think, to be able to do that, because you may have several things that you have to charge, not just, like cameras and phones, but if you have, a Kindle or a camera that you want to take pictures on your trip, you'll want to charge all of those things, especially if you're on a very long journey for a couple of nights on the train.
Yeah, so the rooms themselves are really worth it. We really did enjoy our time in the room that we had, and when we went in there, the attendant said, "Oh, this is the best room in the whole system." It was, again, a Viewliner 2 accessible bedroom. That is the best room. Go look those up. The other ones, I don't know that I'd be fighting too much to get into them if you didn't need them, because they're basically just like being in a bedroom or something like that. So it is a great accommodation. The staff is simply phenomenal, and the services they provide are great. So if you are traveling with a mobility device, I see no reason not to try this, to try to go on a train trip. It's a wonderful trip, and of all the forms of travel, I think they do the best job of taking care of people who need an accessible room.
I think they do a phenomenal job. So if you do have a need for the room, call up and let them know, and they'll go through the checklist. You could always just book it right on the website or through their app. You could do any of them because it takes you through the questionnaire anyways. So just make sure you read through each one and make sure you're marking the right things. But pretty much the only thing that will trigger that discount for that room is going to be you bringing your own wheeled mobility device. So make sure that you mark that if that's what you're bringing with you, because you will get a discount for that, which I think is actually a nice accommodation too.
Yeah, so guys, we hope you like this video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so, and we will see you on the next video.